This is the Comic Book Shop of Doom, and this is your nightly news for Sunday, May 17th, 2020. Okay, this is a really rainy day, so that's why I'm staying in bed today, or just sitting around not doing anything. Okay, Warner Brothers is going to be remaking the Blake Edwards movie 10 that introduced Bo Derek to everybody with Dudley Moore. So there's going to be a remake of that. There's an MCU theory floating around that Avengers Endgame, when they did the snap, it created Marvel's mutants. So that's been around for a while, that theory where they think that that's how they're going to integrate the X-Men and the Eternals into the Marvel universe, even though the Eternals are like space porn guys. Okay, Second Sight Publishing, it's a new comic book company. They're looking for submissions for superhero, horror, and sci-fi books. So look that up online. Second Sight Publishing, it tells you how to submit if you want to do comic books. The first 6 pages of Zoids. Remember those old toys from the 80s, the robots that you wound them up? Okay, it surfaced online. They were going to do a. Grant Morrison was writing a book for Marvel UK, and these were like backup features in the Transformers at the time, but they were going to have a solo series, but they never made it. So the first 6 pages of a solo series surfaced online. Savage Dragon is coming up on its 250th issue. And Walt Simonson, Frank Cho, and Rob Liefeld are doing special covers for it. Speaking of Rob Liefeld, he says he's seen Marvel's 5 year plan and it doesn't include Deadpool 3. So he says that they don't want to do Deadpool 3, possibly because it's Disney and they don't want that kind of language in a movie. And they can't put that on Disney Plus. You'd have to put it on their Hulu. So they probably figure, let's not even make it. So they just blew it off. Chris Lord and Chris Miller, the guys that did the Solo movie and then they got fired, they're going to do a movie called Project Hail Mary. It's another space movie starring Ryan Gosling. They didn't learn when they did that First Man movie about a year or two ago with Ryan Gosling. That thing was a flop. So a space movie, no thanks. Ahsoka Tano is going to have a show. It's in development for Disney Plus, so it's going to be a live action one of Anakin Skywalker's Padawan. The movie Tenet that's coming out in July, it's a time travel movie where some agents are trying to prevent World War III. It could get pushed back because of the pandemic going on. So it's an expensive flick. So it's a Christopher Nolan movie. So if it gets pushed back, it could also push Wonder Woman 1984 back to late 2020, possibly in December. Okay, Art Adams is drawing Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, for Jim Lee's charity, where these comic book artists are drawing sketches and they're selling them. And what they're doing, selling them on eBay, and they're donating the money to comic shops in need. Right now, the bid on this thing is $8,200. Now, the one thing that I don't agree with on this is a regular fan cannot get a sketch by these guys. That these are all high ticket items. Five to 10 grand usually is what these things go for. So a normal person can't afford that. So who's paying 8 and 10 grand? It's rich people. So they're catering to rich people with this to pay off comic shops. So there's no like the poor man's sketch. Yen Press is going to do 2 Star Wars manga comics this year. Star Wars Rebels and Star Wars Leia, Princess of Alderaan. So Marvel's actually letting other people do the Star Wars license. In wrestling news, Mark Henry versus Leo Rush. Is it going to come to court? Possibly. They've been talking smack about each other online, so each one is threatening to sue. Drew Gulak is gone from WWE. Friday, his contract expired, and on SmackDown was a taped show. He wrestled Daniel Bryan. His contract expired. Excuse me. His contract expired, and rumors are that he couldn't come to terms with them over money, so he walked. He doesn't have a 90-day compete clause. He could walk and go to AEW May 23rd. They got their Double or Nothing pay-per-view, and they got a casino ladder match. So it's like one of those things where you get like a briefcase and you get the next title run and stuff like that. You could challenge for a belt. So he could show up there, no problem. And he trained some guys from there. So he used to work in Combat Zone and Chikara, so that he could possibly show up there. So that's what people are thinking. Or WWE could come back and offer him more money to come back. Okay, Jim Cornette's in hot water for making comments about Dana Brooke. Something about her face looked like it was set on fire, and then somebody used an axe on it. So somebody passed along the comments to her, and she wasn't happy about it. And then a lot of people in payback for that were making fun of Cornette's wife. Okay, the Revival versus the Revolt. There's another team. Caleb Conley and his partner. They're in the Carolinas. I forgot who the partner is. But they're sent a cease and desist order to the Revival. The Revival was looking at using the Revolt name now that they're out of WWE. And this other team has had that name for 5 years. And they have merchandise and stuff out. So they got a lawyer. And they sent them a letter. And they said that they all know each other from the Carolinas wrestling scene. So they said that the Revival should have known better. And finally, since the Dark Side of the Ring was on with Herb Abrams, he's hot again with the UWF, the Universal Wrestling Federation. So if you go to www.herbabramsuwf.proboards.com, all of the surviving footage of that federation is up there. It's been culled from YouTube. So www.herbabramsuwf.proboards.com has all the UWF footage. Everybody have a good day and good night.